The draft welcomes the new proposal announced May 31st and calls only on Hamas to accept it fully and implement the terms without delay. It makes no mention of Israel's acceptance, despite reported divides on the agreement within the current coalition government there. In a statement, U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas-Greenfield said numerous leaders and governments had endorsed the plan and called on the Security Council to join them in calling for the implementation of the deal without delay and without further conditions. She said the deal would lead to an end of the war in a manner that ensured Israel's security while bringing immediate relief to civilians in Gaza, echoing sentiments expressed by President Biden on Friday.
It sets the stage for a political settlement that provides a better future for Israelis and Palestinians alike. Now, after intensive diplomacy carried out by my team, my many conversations with leaders of Israel, Qatar, and Egypt, and other Middle Eastern countries, Israel has offered a comprehensive new proposal. It's a roadmap to an enduring ceasefire and the release of all hostages. This proposal has been transmitted by Qatar to Hamas.
Three-phased plan first calls for a 6-week ceasefire that would see Israeli forces withdraw from densely populated areas in Gaza and see the release of women, elderly and wounded hostages, while humanitarian aid would surge to 600 trucks per day. Phase 2 would see the release of all remaining living hostages, while Israeli forces would completely withdraw from Gaza. Phase 3 calls for the reconstruction of Gaza after the war that has destroyed so much of the enclave. It has pushed both sides to clarify their positions, after some right-wing Israeli cabinet ministers said they could not accept a deal that didn't fully eliminate Hamas.
We are looking for a clear Israeli position that represents the entire Israeli government. And this hasn't happened yet, as we saw statements from certain ministers yesterday. Any talk about reaching an agreement should have a clear position from both parties, as a response to the ideas put on the table today. From our side, communication is ongoing with both parties to transfer these ideas clearly for all parties.
Question also put to the U.S. administration as to whether Israel had in fact signed off on the proposal.
We are completely confident it was an Israeli proposal. Obviously, it was a proposal that they developed in consultation with the United States and Qatar and Egypt, the three countries that have played the mediating role throughout this process, but this was ultimately an Israeli proposal. In terms of where it stands, it was submitted to Hamas on Thursday night. We have yet to hear a response. We obviously saw the statement that they put out, I think it was on Friday, but we haven't gotten a response back from them.
As Washington now seeks the UN Security Council's endorsement. U.S. Ambassador Thomas-Greenfield urged Council members not to let this opportunity pass. A draft that comes just a week after Algeria put forward its own draft resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, the release of all hostages, and that cited the ruling days earlier by the International Court of Justice that ordered Israel to stop its military assault on Rafah that would risk the destruction of the Palestinian civilian population sheltering there. Washington earlier rejected that draft as unbalanced because it did not blame Hamas for the current conflict. Sherwin Bryce-Pease, SABC News, New York.